Okay, so I'm here to tell my story. I feel like I'm ready to share this with everyone. And this is a story I haven't even shared with my own family. Majority of the adults in my life watched me go through this, but they don't even know some of the details. It's just mine. And I have ran from this story for a long time. And I'm finally ready to share this story. So, someone asked for understanding. They just couldn't understand what was going on, or they just wanted to be able to have understanding. So, this is my story. I come from a family that's amazing, and it's great. Everyone's been able to move on to different chapters, but when we were growing up, it was a little bit different. My mom married somebody when I was 6 years old, and I was so excited. I had known this person since I was little, and they were a family already. It was just kind of a fit in. And I was excited because I got to have a dad. I never had one because my dad wasn't there. So, over the next 6 years, I experienced horrendous abuse as a child, um, to the point where I was sleeping on the kitchen floor with my dog because that's how worthy I was. We had to eat off of the floor because we weren't good enough to eat at the table. And we sure the hell weren't allowed to sit on the couches. There was a lot of things that happened and transpired during this time. I always stuck up for my mom and my siblings. I took a lot of frickin' beatings mentally, emotionally, economically. He would keep our stuff and hold our stuff hostage. Wouldn't provide good, healthy food. We all hate hot dogs. I like them every now and again, but hot dogs are kind of a like, really? Because that's all we ever had. There was a spiritual warfare going on in the midst of that house. And it was a very toxic environment. And my mom was so brave. She tried to leave a couple times, and it was very hard. It was very hard. Very, very hard. We had to start over multiple times. I moved, I don't know how many different years or how many different times, because we were running, because he would stalk my mom. He would, in front of all my siblings, he came in and would kidnap my sisters. And there's nothing I could do. Nothing. And my mom was trying to figure it out. In the meantime, in the meantime, uh, we moved around a lot, and I always had to say goodbye to a lot of people I loved very dearly. um, if you've ever read the book A Child Called It, um, a lot of friends and family have highly recommend the book. I personally have never read it just because it's very close to my own. Um, and then I moved all the time. All the time. And the one thing that I had to kind of go and escape was to be able to go to shows. I'd go to rock concerts and be my little punk ass self, and my mother hated it. I'd always wear black. It was a thing. Um, I was that kid, and I'd always wear tennis shoes. I'd never wear any like super fancy stuff because I always felt like you never knew what was going to happen or how it was going to transpire. And you never knew what was going to be up next. And then finally, in the middle of my junior year, my mom planted roots. In the middle of my junior year. And it was scary. And it did a lot of damage. I've had a lot of trauma bonding. I've had a lot of where I don't know how to connect on deeper levels with people because of it. And I moved. I moved to this beautiful place and I created a life of my own. Um, I had a lot of help along the way from a lot of amazing people, and I created a tiny little village. Now, might have made a couple mistakes and learned a few lessons actually in that space and time. And it was for 10 years. It needed to happen. I needed to be away from home. And I created a life that I enjoyed. Um, there were a lot of amazing places that I stopped along the way. And I grew up where when I was little, we weren't allowed to go to church. We had to sneak to go to church. Um, we had to sneak to go because we weren't allowed to. It was kind of a forbidden thing. Yeah. Um, we had to move in very silent ways because of it. And it's constantly been a thing, and I don't allow people to get close or open up about different things because of that part. And then as I grew up, I was making different choices. I had a friend that was very dear, and we lived together. She was amazing, and she helped me out so much. And I don't know how I'd ever repay her.
we ended up getting into trouble together. And we had to part ways. Um, Unfortunately, it was one of those things that was a heartbreaking situation. And I think both of us hurt each other during that point. And it really sucked. We both come from traumatic backgrounds, and I hurt her, and I was stupid, very stupid. And I hurt one of my best friends. But I know that she deserves the best. And after that, I was the kid that I protected my siblings from a lot of shit. I'm just one of those survivors. I put on a smile a lot of the time because if I do, do I have to, does it have to did it happen then? It didn't happen. But it did. And I have trauma bonded with a lot of different things. And I had a lot of growing up to do. And I didn't want to have kids. I was the oldest of 6. I was put in a position where I had to provide for myself since I was 15 on certain things. My mom has a very unique idea on her idea. I learned one thing throughout this whole thing. Allow people to do them. Don't control everything and don't control the situation sometimes. Because even our best of intentions can really fuck people up. And I think that that's the case in mine too. I'm very much like my mom on that part. I didn't realize the trauma that I had been through or what it had done to me. I didn't want kids because I didn't want anyone to get hurt like that ever. Ever. Not ever. And I will stick up for them, even if it costs me certain things, because that's my sibling and I love them. But that's where I learned that that's not such a good thing anymore. When we were little, it was a good thing. As an adult, they need to be able to live their own lives too. I got married. I had a kid. And I moved. And I created a community around me that I was comfortable in. And I had an amazing 10 years. I fucked up along the way, and I realized where I fucked up. I realized my mistakes. I know it wasn't intentional, but other people think I'm just a fake ass bitch. And it's because they don't know that part of my life. I make everything look pretty and smiley and like I just have, the world. I always am able to smile. through any of it because, well, I've survived. And it was a very hard, heartbreaking situation. Um, I went through a lot of horrible things, horrible. And it was because of these traumas that I come off in different ways. Um, it's not that I'm trying to be sneaky. I'm just used to having to keep a low profile on certain things or hide my emotions. Because if you show your emotion, over the 10 years, I let that shit go. I pretended as if it didn't happen. It's a part of my history though. That's a part of why I make or have made decisions the way that I have. And I don't want to continue on that path. So I'm sharing this story because I feel that if people actually knew the truth and how it actually transpired and what happened, that they'd at least understand why I've stepped in different ways. And I didn't realize that it's out of trauma. It's out of constantly being on the run. And I came from the south side and I moved to the north. And I started over. And I kept where I was able to start new too. I didn't wear high heels for a long time because I felt like I always had to be on the run and I had to gear up because I never knew what was going to transpire at the fucking edge of a corner. I was able to finally wear heels and be able to really enjoy learning how to watch people in long-term relationships. I had never seen that before. I grew up around all single mothers, survivors, all of us. And a lot of us kids that come from those type of homes, I guess, have trauma. I did everything I could to protect my siblings from a lot of things. And they ask me about different people or different incidences, and I don't share because I don't want them to think any differently of those people. I want them to be able to have their own relationships with them. I have mine, and I understand how those things have transpired. And I want to start on a different page, and I don't want to continue on certain pages. It's not where I'm at. I got home right before COVID hit. And I wanted to literally obliterate the world because I took a wild ass trip cross country all by myself. And then I had a very, very dear friend of mine, come that I bonded with. And we talked, and she just listened to me unravel for 5 days. And her and I, we went and traveled the world with my daughter. And we went and stayed at, different places. And we were able to really see what and how things kind of worked out. And she's a very, very dear friend of mine. Very dear. Absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't ask for anything more. She watched me go through this trauma. It was a 5-day hiatus of me fighting, kicking, screaming the whole way. I was ready to come home, but I wasn't. My sister showed up pretty much called me, said, "Hey, I'm on my way. I'm at the airport. I'm on my way. We're packing your shit." What? Oh, okay. So I literally had to leave everything behind once again. And I had really built something over 10 years. I built it and what a mother will do for her child, I'll tell you what. I understand and I get it. But I've also learned that I need to allow myself to tell this story. A lot of people have said I'm selfish. That's very true. I haven't shared this with a lot of people. It was very horrific and horrendous. So I just turned a new page and pretend it didn't happen. And I don't want to do that with this chapter. I had an amazing time in Wichita. I learned a lot. I had a lot that I learned. How to navigate and how to do things and how to how to actually, I don't know, build, do me. I started off as a mutt with multiple different experiences. My grandmothers were Jehovah's Witness, Catholic, and hold on. Okay. Catholic, Jehovah's Witness, and Christian.
but on like the extreme level where it was crazy. And there is that level of crazy. I've seen that crazy. And through that, I've learned a lot. I have learned where you're in a small place and everybody knows everybody and everybody knows you. And there's one place that was always a safe haven, and it was Vagabond. It was amazing. There was amazing people, and I could bring anyone there, and everyone would be fine with it. Didn't matter where they hailed from. It was a safe haven, which was amazing. And I had where I was able to build from that little place into other little places. And there was another place that had amazing gemstones and had different crystals. And I would make these amazing crystal balls, witch balls, for protection along my journey. I loved doing it. And I believe that it's a part of my history and what I like to do. I'm very emotionally intelligent, but a complete idiot when it comes to it. Because I have traveled my whole life. And it's not that I'm running from, I guess I was running from my past in a way. I wanted to ignore it, pretend that it didn't happen. Because it was easier just to smile. It was just so much easier. And all of us kids survived. We had our own trauma bonding experiences and how we handled it. And they were all so little. I'm way older than they are. It's my job. It's my job to protect them. But it's also my job to let them be able to do them and see how amazingly awesome they really are. Each and every single one of them have so many different things that they freaking do amazingly. And I'm so very proud that they got the chance to experience that, I guess. There's a lot of different traumatic things that we've all gone through. I've just been through hell and back. That's where I kind of fuck up with my relationships now. I have a tendency of having a real problem with authority. Because I was so abused as a child. Very badly. And it was horrible. There was a lot of traveling and going multiple places, having to get rid of everything. And I finally was able to create a space that wasn't like that. And I believe that let's be real. I believe in God, but I also have my own spin on things. And I feel that that's okay. Because guess what? I learned how to protect in a non assertive way. I learned not to intervene in certain levels. I was able to let go of control to a degree. I just didn't understand, I guess, how to have a functioning situation, if you will be. So it's more of the fact that I have a lot of trauma in my background. A lot. And when I have, I guess, men in particular, um, I have issues with even women, both men and women. I have a problem with authority just because it was so abusive when I was little. So very abusive. To the point where it was horrific and horrendous. And I survived. I survived all these things. And I let go over the past 10 years. I let go of different parts of it. However, I had to let go even more because I had a little bit of a little bit more to really solidify what the fuck happened and how the fuck it affected me and my decisions that I've made. My decisions weren't made out of a maliciousness. They're made out of a misunderstanding. Through all that trauma, I hadn't learned how to, I guess, really release certain kinmanships. And I missed my family. But I have grown into a totally different person than my family. I went away and I got a different light and experience in life. And I I just believe in different things. I am that person. I am all of these things and then some. Truly, truly, that's the truth. I wholeheartedly, and a majority of the time, I realized that since I've been back, I have pushed people away and told them to go back where they came from. Not to be rude, and not because I didn't care. It's because I, I've been so damaged on so many levels. And I'm not mentally ill. I've just had a lot of trauma. And I had to go through different sets and lessons to understand my path. And it's different. I am both still the punk ass that I was and still girly. I have both. I got to experience both because that's what I needed to do. That's how I needed it to be. And I feel like a lot of people are not understanding me because they don't know that story. I hide that story a lot because it's brutally awful. And I have been a traveler and a freaking gypsy since I can remember, almost a shaman of sorts. And I want to do it differently this time. I don't want to go back into the past. I'd like to keep pushing forward. If the past crosses my path, awesome. Great. I'd love to see you. I have changed, and I'm sure everyone else has too. I don't think people understand the difference or how I've changed. Because, well, some have been there and some haven't. I'm so glad to have had the opportunity to go out and do my own thing, though. And I've had a lot of helpers along the way, and I absolutely adore them. I've had some amazing friends. Amazing. I made some amazing friends along the way. And I didn't tell people about this. I made my life look like it was pretty. The life that I wanted, because I wanted to be able to go ahead and manifest that for myself. Coming out of all of this shit. And now that I'm here back at home, I understand what happened and why. And I had to release this story because I feel like a lot of people don't know and are not aware of it, even people that I grew up with. Because I keep a lot of this shit under wraps. Because it means that it's real. It means that all these things actually happened. It means all these things happened. It means all these things just went and poof. We're done. And oh, I don't want to repeat the same mistakes. And I'm not going to. I think I'm finally at the point in my life where I know that that was a big chunk of why I've been reacting the way that I have. And a person reminded me, very, very dear friend, my feelings, how I feel and how I've been acting are two different ways. And it's about intention. My mom sometimes acts with the best of intentions, but you don't see it because she has to control everything. I have to let go of the control. And I don't need to know the outcomes of different things. I honestly, wholeheartedly, I do tarot and I don't even need the tarot. I can just do it literally. If I have a piece of jewelry, I'm able to feel and tell the story of that jewelry, whoever it's belonged to, and the different things associated with it. I'm that sensitive to touch. Uh Different people have different gifts. Um they have gifts of being able to see and know, and that's a skill set that I learned, and I'm not ashamed of it at all. I just know that it's a very different path than what my family has. And that's okay. This is me outing myself on certain aspects, and my growth on both ends. My past, so the two worlds don't know these things about me because I was gone. I was gone. And I had a lot of things happen that were horrific in my past. I swiped that slate clean. Still had certain trauma responses though. And I wasn't able to let it go. Well, now we're here. I do tarot, and if you want to call me a witch, sure, I get it's more of how I would describe it is you get to have a cup of tea with me and we get to talk and we get to go ahead and converse and we get to enjoy conversing and you get to have a conversation or coffee. Coffee is great. Coffee's been amazing. So that's where that happened. And I've had both lives mesh. Some know my past, some do not. And I'm okay with that. But someone asked for understanding as to why I've done different things or what this whole experience for me has been like. This is why. And there was a dog that I had that I would sleep with on the floor with. And this dog would look out for me. He was huge. He was a husky, and it was freaking amazing. Oh my God. That was my upbringing. I don't talk about it because a lot of people don't understand that type of history or that type of experience. An experience is unique. And so when you learn through different things or how you respond to authority, if you are not understanding of traumas and how trauma can hurt someone, and I can be an asshole sometimes, even to people that are trying to be helpful and that are trying to push me along my way. And it's not that I'm ungrateful or that I don't I'm just trying to understand, trying to move through that threshold. It's taken a long time. It's taken a very long time and a lot of work. A lot of work. And I had a lot of trauma when I was younger. A lot. And I've learned that I've changed as a person, as a human being from that trauma and that trauma-based energy. And my family has been away from me for 10 years. And I have been away for 10 years. I'm a different person. I'm still that punk ass motherfucker, but I also have multiple sides where I want to go do multiple things. and just be able to go ahead and be flamboyant and expressive, and I'm outspoken because of these things. And I realized that I had so many things that I had to learn, and I have some very key women to thank for. Because without these women, it wouldn't have been possible. These women held me through thick and thin, and I absolutely adore each and every single one of them. Because they have made this possible for me. I have let go of a lot of things, and I feel like I've been going crazy. I'm in when I got back, it was bad. I was pissed. I was angry. As soon as I got back, I had my daughter here for 3 weeks, and she was taken. I was served papers and told to fuck off. I'm stubborn and hard-headed. I've been fighting and fighting to come home for so long. And now that I'm back, I'm very, very thankful. At the same token, I'm not that same girl. I'm not like I'm the same, but I'm different. I've changed in so many ways, and I wasn't honest about it with a lot of people because well, if I try and tell my family about my life, they try to. I feel that they try to devalue certain things, and my grandmother has been one that has definitely stuck by me in a lot of things, and I owe her a lot. I owe my mom a lot too, and my siblings, and I owe a lot of people a lot of different things. People have done me a lot of favors over the years, and I appreciate all of you guys, because without it, it would have been impossible. I learned how to establish roots. I had never done that, and I have never ever had to deal with people for longer than a year because poof, we're gone. And I had to stay in a place for 10 years, and I needed that to learn what it is to be outside of a trauma-based environment, and the need to control everything and all the outcomes and everything in between. And that's where I broke that curse, I guess. That's, to me, it was a trauma that needed to be gone, and it needed to be handled, because through that trauma, I have unintentionally hurt people. I didn't realize how I had hurt people until I came back and I had someone stick it up my ass pretty hard. Thank you. Thank you. Person showed me. Let me get you. They're like, I have dinner. I have my plate of dinner, but I'll give you mine. And then they split it. I absolutely adore you for that because I didn't understand and I didn't know. And it wasn't me being malicious or some kind of way. It was me, well, let's be real. Yeah. A lot of trauma. A lot of trauma in my past. There's so much abuse that happened and transpired in my life. For me to feel safe to wear heels around someone is a huge deal. Someone else might consider it something else, but it's more of like I feel safe enough to do so. For me to accept help is hard. It is. Because a lot of the time I've had where it's always uh it's always been with strings. It's always been with different things. And one of my friends knew this because I have a feeling that they were in my space. It's all a veil, right? It's all a veil. But I felt that I needed to share this because I think a lot of people think I'm an asshole. And I kind of have been an intentional asshole. And I'm sorry for anyone that I've hurt unintentionally. If it makes it any consolation, I've learned a lot. Thank you.